Welcome to the Meet Crete podcast, where we sit down and talk with people who make Crete run every day. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm one of the producers inside of the communications department inside of Crete Carrier, and today we're going to talk to somebody who doesn't live here, doesn't work here, used to live here, but went away and isn't from here, is from a long way. We're going to find out about all that stuff. Poppy McLeod, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Why are you not here all the time? Because you live where?
I live in Pennsylvania. This is our annual week to all be together. And the best way to put it is I'm fresh off the plane and about to get on the plane. And it's both a marathon and a sprint. It's a fun, intense week. But I am based out of Pennsylvania. Crete Carrier relocated me to be the Hershey on-site, and I've most recently now moved into my Northeast Regional Sales Manager position for Shaffer Trucking.
And so you're from California, you lived in Oregon for a while, came out to Nebraska, and then Crete shipped you off to the East Coast.
Correct. It completely makes sense. I have a friend who says it makes sense if you don't think about it. So I was born and raised in California and Oregon, and long story short, for personal moves, moved from Oregon to Illinois, to Nebraska, to South Dakota, to Nebraska. And
seems completely reasonable if you're a fur trader in the 1850s.
Correct. I love being that tumbleweed. I can make home anywhere, I think. So, I began with Crete Carrier 2 years and change, and very shortly into my tenure here as a strategic account manager on a team, had the opportunity to be presented to go out to Hershey to be our on-site representative, and jumped at the opportunity. And so I will have spent the absolute majority of my career remote from headquarters, and at this point strictly in the Northeast versus being in the Lincoln office.
So I was going to get to the Hershey thing a little bit later, but it's fascinating to me, this job. So you're actually in the Hershey building working
Correct.
Inside.
Correct.
Representing Crete Carrier.
Correct.
And you helped us do what this year exactly?
I'm so proud of our team. We were honored with the Hershey Service Carrier of the Year. And I'm so proud of our entire team, nose to tail. It really felt like when I moved to Hershey to be in their office, operations came with me. And there was this tremendous lean-in effect. My friends were helping me. And Hershey took notice, and we took care of them. It was such a tremendous moment being in their carrier advisory board this summer, being there with Eric Cutter, our president, and being announced.
And then last night, if you haven't watched the video of the annual meeting,
Oh, geez.
Ton actually recognized you and the team for this thing, and I saw you.
Do this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those emotional Italian types. Most of the time, as I am a pretty composed person, I do take a lot of pride in being very professional. But there's just some things that hit straight to my heart, and so I think I forgot that individual accomplishments would be mentioned. But again, individual awards don't happen without tremendous team support.
Right.
So yes, there were 2 awards from Hershey, and that will stick with me forever.
When you work that hard on something, when you're that passionate about something, when you live that so hard, to be recognized for that, it's almost like, oh, that's just my life. I don't know, know, right?
Yeah, the best way I can put it, moving out to Hershey, having that assignment, we've been hauling for Hershey since 1937. It is our longest standing relationship. I equate the role to putting on that backpack and having that ownership and living and breathing it. And so it's very integral to my personal and professional identity, to put it that way. I am the type of person, I love it. I like checking those emails in the evening and the weekends and being very connected to the people of the account and the account itself, and just knowing absolutely everything that's going on with it. So it was a surprise. I had been in their carrier advisory board event the previous year, and this new award was new, and I did a little bit of this, of course, that day as well.
Well, we're all very proud of you at Crete and Shaffer, and not just you, just everybody that supports you, lifts you up, gets you what you need. And I thought Ton said something really important last night, that operations has to follow through. You can't just go in there and make promises that we can't deliver on. And, for a corporation like Hershey, if you don't deliver, they'll notice that too.
Yeah,
right. So
absolutely. They have very high standards and expectations. And I think in great part, that's why we do have the relationship that we do with them. We're very aligned in our values. So it was just such a pinnacle moment. I just bursting with pride for our whole team, that came together. And again, I was just sort of surprised last night. I knew that there would be mention of the Hershey Service Carrier Award, and our team knows that from when we found out this summer. But there were other elements last night that were a surprise, and I, like you said, that wouldn't have happened without tremendous team support.
Totally. But congratulations.
Thank you.
for what minor thing that you did. It must be nice for this recognition in a career that you said is 2 years and some change, right? Mm-hmm. There are Hollywood careers that don't even last that long, right? But this isn't your primary career. You come from construction, right?
Correct. I spent over a decade in various roles in construction, from industrial, commercial, residential, and it all began with actually some supply chain exposure, material management, which then through relationships became a construction career. And with COVID, a lot of things changed with construction, and I wanted I wanted a career change, and realized what a great industry switchover, but so similar to come to the heart of supply chain itself. And I have one of those nuts and bolts, data interested personalities, and so it's been smooth. It's been a smooth transition to come to trucking, and so far it's gone really well.
Which is great. Do you ever turn that part of your head off? I mean, you must have some downtime and some free time. What do you do with your free time?
So there's kind of a joke amongst the team. Probably a great idea to silence your phones at night, because if I think of something, I'm going to shoot that email out, because I have to make sure it doesn't slip through the cracks somehow. I'm awake at 5 a.m. Eastern every day. Weekend or
That's insane.
I've got a
dog. Speaking on behalf of everybody on the East Coast as well, that's insane.
I do my best. I have a dog who is insane. He's obsessed with fetch. He's a terrier mutt, and so we walk and we play fetch and we go on hikes. And in my personal life, I love farmers markets and cooking and trying new wineries and breweries. And I'm a terrible golfer, but I love it. So I do have downtime. I'm not a person who really likes to sit idle. There is a recharge that happens at home. There is quiet time, but I like to be on the go. I like to certainly take advantage of where I've been moved to and see what that new place has.
That's awesome.
I enjoy it. Thank you. Yeah.
That's great. Farmers markets are underrated, I think.
Yes. Working in supply chain and being a farm kid and having understanding of grocery stores provide an opportunity to purchase food, and farmers markets, of course, and there's other venues. Food comes from farms. It doesn't just magically manifest. And having an appreciation, not just supply chain, I don't mean just the transportation element, but understanding there's so many hands that make that possible.
Right. And a farmer's market, it's like that. It's just a smaller scale. So it goes farm to pickup truck to downtown and under the tent.
It's wonderful, and everybody's stories. You get to interact with these people and you get to hear their stories, and it's always very unique.
That's very cool. As dedicated as you are to your job and your passion for data and all that kind of stuff, you did something for your friend of yours that I think is amazing. And I think we should talk about that, because I want another opportunity to make you cry, if that's all right.
This topic comes up, and every time it gives me chills, because it's the most I've ever learned about myself in any one point in my life. A dear friend has had lifelong kidney disease. And we knew that her kidney function was had declined to the point that she needed another kidney. And I just had one of those epiphany moments that I was going to pursue it until I received a hard no, and I knew that I was not going to receive a hard no. And so 3 years ago in May, the biggest gift of my life, I got to go into surgery with my friend, and I am now what some of us call single bean. I have one kidney, and my friend is doing really well.
And she's recovered and she's okay.
And she's full normal life, as am I.
Now, we should explain, this isn't a one-for-one kidney donation where
Correct.
they take out one of her kidneys, you put one in.
Correct.
Explain what this is called.
And it's absolutely fascinating. So there's so much to understand of the science of compatibility. And because she has had children and what that does with that match process and rejection elements, I knew that I realistically was not going to be a direct match for her. The odds are better to get hit by lightning or win the lottery. But I also knew that there's the organ donation system. And so what ended up happening with us, we were in a pool of 12 people, everybody with their partnered match. And so it's a process. Everybody gets matched within that connection. And so it was a not direct donation to her, but it's a kidney exchange.
So what happens is you donate your kidney, it goes to someone else, but your friend is then able, because there are kidneys in the pool. It sounds really, really clinical that way, and I don't mean to, because it's an amazing thing. But your friend is able to receive a kidney from somebody that is a match because of your donation into the pool.
Correct.
So in effect, I don't mean to cut you off,
No.
but in effect, you've actually saved 2 lives.
Well, it's tough to think about it in terms like that, but she's doing really well, and I hope that the person who has my left kidney has not been affected by waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and maybe taking on some of this personality charm. But it is a fascinating process. Anybody who wants to talk about it, please let me know. It's so interesting. Lori's kidney was flown in from the Cleveland area. We were in surgery at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona, and my kidney was flown to Rochester, New York.
So yours went to New York?
It did, yeah.
Wow.
And then I followed it a couple of years later.
Really?
Basically.
You haven't met your donor recipient, right?
Nope.
Is that something you're open to?
Very much. Very much. The whole, HIPAA and other factors, it's all very private. And for me, I'm happy in the thought that Lori's doing well. And so it's 1 for 1. And I hope that my recipient is doing well. But if they want to live their lives with the relationship that they had with their donor and keep that concept that way,
Right, and that's another consideration too. It's a lot to get your head around, and you have to recover from that, and you have to function normally. And the best way to do that sometimes is compartmentalize.
Correct.
And I can't meet her, right?
The testing process is so very interesting because it's not just a battery of physical exams, but there's an emotional element to it, of course, and so there's counseling that happens with it. For everyone's knowledge, there are anywhere from over 100,000 to 120,000 people waiting for organ and tissue transplantation. And every day, 12 kidney patients die waiting. The majority of the people on the list are people who need kidneys.
And so when you consider the list, the pool of people that need a kidney or lots of other organs, not just kidney
Correct.
donation, but people that need a transplant of any kind, that always outnumbers the list. And the list can't be taken care of daily because scheduling of doctors, scheduling of hospitals, open beds, and that kind of stuff. So there's only so much you can do in a day. But if you're not part of that process, it creates these holes in these vacuums as well.
Right.
It's amazing. I had a couple family members go through it, and it's an amazing process.
It is, yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell your friend we're glad that she's here, and take her to the farmer's market with your dog.
She's doing well, and her first grandbaby has arrived, and
There you go.
it's good. It's so good.
That's awesome. in the pre-interview, you said, I like working here. And I thought, yeah, I met you. I know you like working here. But you were going off about your bosses. Tell me a little bit about the people
those bosses of mine
that you work with.
This may say a lot for me to say this, but Eric Cutter is an Energizer bunny. That man, his capacity, what he gets done every day, he's talking with, I have to assume, at least 50 drivers and our whole team and the operations team. And we definitely have every day this driving force of momentum of what are we doing to progress things. So that's our leader, Eric Cutter, the president of Shaffer. He is he's an Energizer bunny. There is just no word for it. So for me to sit back and think, oh my gosh, am I bringing up enough? And we've got a tremendous team and everybody's contributing. And he's just going.
He's always on the phone. He's always shaking hands. He's having lunch with somebody. Yep. He's always, he's never alone.
No.
First.
No.
And then he's always doing something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So that's pillar number one. And then pillar number two is Bill Beeler, the director of Shaffer Sales. And if there had been the opportunity to somehow move into the Hershey role even faster, move into my regional sales manager role faster, I would have. He's the best boss I've ever had. His knowledge is one thing, but his care for our team is immeasurable. He checks in with every single one of us and looks out for us in terms of mentoring us, making sure we're feeling supported to get our jobs done. But he really cares about us as people. He looks out for us. He protects us. He's making sure, did you know that this hotel is kind of bordering to this type of neighborhood? Is it safe as we travel? And it is a factor that we travel a lot. We travel quite a bit, and he wants to know that every single one of his teammates is doing well. So he's tremendous. There's almost this competition. Whomever Bill is traveling with on any given week, it's kind of like, oh, I'm not the favorite this week, but I'm the favorite next week.
There you go. We should mention too that you're stepping into a new role now. What is your title?
Regional Sales Manager of the Northeast.
So you're not doing the Hershey thing anymore, but you're still an integral part of the Crete Shaffer team.
And Hershey is still an account of mine because they are based in my territory. So we have the Mechanicsburg terminal, and I am assigned to that and to the Northeast region. So it's an interesting transition to now have a different breadth of customers. And being at Hershey and learning so much about candy manufacturing that I never thought would ever be in the realm of my life. And then now I get to learn about all these other industries that are based or decisions are made in the Northeast and produced elsewhere in the country. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to just have a better understanding of how the world works, learning about even greater detail of dairy production in New York and the Northeast, and seafood and produce and just the unique things that are in my territory. So very excited to move into that.
Well, we're glad you had time to sit down today. And
I've got more stuff to do.
I know. I appreciate that. We're glad for your success here in a very short time. We're glad for your award. We're glad for your friend, and it was nice to meet you. We're glad to meet you.
My great pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening and watching the Meet Crete podcast today. And just a reminder, you can find all of our weekly updates, driver stories, and more episodes of this podcast right here on our YouTube channel. We'll be back to find out more about the people we work with inside Crete Carrier and Shaffer Trucking in the next episode of Meet Crete.